Greetings, and welcome to the newest phenomena you've probably never heard of. This is something that most people struggle with as an ongoing but unseen problem, ranging from brain activity to remembrance. When many people recall an activity or an event differently than how it actually occurred or never happened, it's labeled as the Mandela Effect. I'm Caleb Soderberg, let's hop right into it. For those of you familiar with this effect, you've probably seen this topic take the internet by storm and make people more aware of its effects. For the uninitiated, strap yourselves in, this is a doozy. When we remember something, it doesn't have to be recent, it can be far in the past, our brain's neurons fire off in a way that sort of resembles the initial memory creation. The bad news is that our brain is highly impressionable and not entirely accurate. This sometimes causes us to misremember or reinterpret certain things that may have occurred in the past. More on that later on. Let's dive into some shocking examples that you yourself might be guilty of forgetting. Most of you remember this little low dude. He's from the classic board game Monopoly. Most people call him the Monopoly Man, but his official name is Rich Uncle Pennybags. Anyway, what clothing does he wear? In every game and picture, he carries a nice suit, top hat, fashionable bow tie, and his trademark monocle. Wait, hold on. You mean to say he doesn't have a monocle? You're so certain that your memory is accurate that when presented with the truth, it denies the evidence outright.
The namesake of the effect, Nelson Mandela, is part of an event that helped shape people's understanding of this bizarre mindset. After organizing a worker strike, he was arrested in the early 60s and sentenced to 27 years in prison. Many thousands of people remember that Nelson Mandela died in prison during the 1980s. There was footage on television and columns in the newspapers about his death, including a funeral. There's something strange about this. He never actually died.
After he was released from prison, he became president of South Africa and later died of natural causes in 2013. So what's happening? They saw him on TV, they read about him in the paper, they saw a grieving widow. There's an article in an American newspaper that mentions how some raised the possibility that he might die in jail. It's not clear how ill Mandela is at this point, but the idea that he could die is not far-fetched. The mere mention of an illness and possible death somehow made people support the idea that Mandela had died.
In the same time period, other South African activists had died fighting for the same cause as Mandela, also supporting the idea that Mandela's death was shown on television. But if this is the case, some conspiracy theorists deny these events and say that Mandela's death is evidence of alternate realities.
In Universe B, Nelson Mandela actually did die. Here, in Universe A, some people's memories have been influenced by this other dimension. The crossover can happen between your other self or use special time waves that can affect your brain function. Of course, this is, right now, scientifically unprovable, so studies have revolved around the term confabulation, meaning the process by which your brain creates for itself false memories. Here's another whammy that most movie fans will be shocked at. Arguably the most popular of the Star Wars franchise's movies is The Empire Strikes Back. A pivotal moment in the film's plot is when the protagonist, Luke, is dueling against the antagonist, Darth Vader. Remember back to when you last saw the movie. What was the unforgettable line that Vader says to Luke? Repeat what you remember in your head. I mean, no one who saw this movie can actually forget what Darth Vader said, right? He powerfully says, "Luke, I am your father." But wait, how is this related to the Mandela Effect? He actually said those words, right?
No. It's not true. That's impossible!
No. I am your father.
In the almost 4 decades since the film's release, hundreds of other movies, TV shows, and other works use the incorrect quote as the definitive line. Thusly, we tend to remember the artificial quote rather than the real one from the movie. Should there be a cause for concern that so many people perceive alternate events or forget things? How can so many people who believe to be right actually be wrong? It has been shown that given similar circumstances and time, occasionally memories can be altered and corrupted. Studies have shown this can take months, years, or even decades for a perfectly healthy memory to become flawed and unreliable. Let's say memory 1 when created is true. However, given enough time, it somehow becomes a false memory in which events are opposite to memory 1. Then, when we attempt to recall the first memory, we instead remember the false one. Some people don't believe that sheer time can account for the millions of people who, under different backgrounds, upbringings, and life experiences, can remember the same event falsely. The exact same events are being remembered in the exact same wrong way. Memory is affected by peer pressure, association, repetition, imagination, and bias. When all these things work together, they can override a true memory and replace it with an alternate one. Suggestions, especially when such information is inherently untrue, can also play a part in affecting the mind. Again, the theorists disregard scientific study based around the human mind and stick to their guns. If so many unrelated people coincidentally have the same exact false memories, then surely there must be something larger at work here, something that science can't explain or is unable to at the moment. This is where the parallel universe theory comes in. We all have lived infinite versions of ourselves in infinite worlds, in infinite universes. How do all these alternate memories carry themselves into this world? Whichever viewpoint you subscribe to, just remember that memory is a fickle thing. Remembrance is an important thing, as well as forgetting something. Accurate memory is knowing when we do not remember, as well as knowing when we do. And as always, thanks for watching.